All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you, Memo. Thank you, Bobby, Joe, the entire team. We're going to have some fun here as we talk about something that might be scary, something that might be chaotic, right? But everything we're going to do right now is we have one goal and one purpose in mind, and that is to prepare you as business owners to make more money during these chaotic times. Okay, that's why Bobby, that's why Memo, that's why the team has me here today. If you are not here for the reason to learn how to make more money during chaos and to do it the right way, you're in the wrong place. Okay, there are a couple of things I want to address straight off. One, I am not an attorney. I did not stay at a Holiday Inn last night, so this is not coming from the legal side of things. What we're going to present to you is how to you do some practical things as a real estate agent, as an associate, as a professional. And so we're going to have some dynamic interaction here in a moment. And so as I go through this, I am not going to be looking at the chat as we go along. If there are questions, we'll have some opportunities for that maybe a little bit later, but I do want to present information and some ideas to you. Now, here's what I am going to first start off with. I want to let you all know that the sky is not falling. I know Chicken Little is running around and everyone is in a panic mode. Well, there are three things that are guaranteed in life. We always hear that it's death and taxes, but there's a third thing that we forget about, and that is change, okay? And if you don't believe that change is inevitable, we live on a planet that spins. So every second of every day, things are different. So I want to reassure you all first that the sky is not falling, that there is no need to panic if we prepare. Now, I have already heard Memo and Joe both say some things that I'm going to reference, but Memo said that these are exciting times. And I know some of you are like, where is this guy living? Like, what industry is he participating in? This is not exciting. It's scary. It's frightening. It is uncertain. But then Memo mentioned a word, and I want you all to grab hold of this word and think about this in the rest of our time here together. He said these are exciting times that hold opportunity. Okay, and so what we're going to look at some of the reasons why things are exciting, but most of our time is going to be looking at the opportunities that lay on the other side of that excitement or that chaos, wherever you want to position that. Now, here's something that is important for me to share with you all. First, skilled agents are going to thrive in the next 6 to 8 months. Skilled agents, okay? Now, this is where you have to be honest. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I skilled or not? Now, there are going to be a few areas that we look at where we need to have specific skills. So if you're skilled in one or two of the areas, you might do okay. If you're skilled in the number of areas that I'm going to highlight, you are going to thrive, and you're going to say, man, I am ready for this. And I believe that because of what we're doing here today and us being proactive, that you all are going to get your unfair share of this pie, of this market, and some things that are going to happen. Now, I mentioned skilled agents. We have to talk about the yin and the yang. Unskilled agents are going to be unemployed, just so we're clear. Right? Unskilled agents are going to be out of the business. Now, I'm not here to scare you, but I'm here to prepare you. I want to make sure that as Uncle Neil speaks to you, that I'm telling you the truth, okay? And so we're going to look at some things that are changing, that are not going to change, and then what does that mean to us? So that's how we're going to go through our limited time here together. What is not changing? What is changing? How do I benefit? How do I position myself to actually win? Now, here is an important date. Or first, let me tell you all this. How do we win? How do we make more money during these chaotic times? The first thing that we must do is keep our eyes open and our mouth shut. That's first, okay? So first we want to make sure that we're looking at everything that's coming out and that we are keeping our opinions to ourselves for the most part, ladies and gentlemen. There will be times when we have to speak up because we're going to be positioning ourselves as leaders and experts. So when I say keep your eyes open, Florida Realtors sent an email this morning telling us the new date that the proposed changes are taking effect. Did you all see that email? August 17th. August 17th is the date. That is a Saturday. So August 17th is the date that everything takes effect. So I want to make sure that you all know. I know we get way too many emails from NAR, from the state, from your broker, from all, like we just get too many emails. But we have to keep our eyes open. If your eyes aren't open, you're going to miss some important information and you are going to be on the losing side of this thing. So now I'm going to start sharing my screen, show you all some important things, what is changing, what isn't changing, and then how we're going to benefit from that. So first, I want to tell you all what's not changing, okay? What is not changing is that compensation from listing brokerages can still happen, okay? So we as buyers agents, we can still be compensated from the listing broker in the transaction. So that is not changing. Now there are some changes with how that's communicated, but I want us to think, wait, does that mean that I'm working for free? If possibly, but not necessarily. So compensation still is going to be available from the listing brokerage in the transaction. What also is not changing, and this is where I want you all to write this down, Florida Statute 475.278. I hope that all of us as small business owners, as entrepreneurs, that we're already familiar with Florida Statute 475.278. If not, I am going to bring this up for us right now, and here's why. Here's what is not changing. Florida Statute 475.278 talks about brokerage relationships, okay? And now, this is not a brokerage relationship class or course. What it is, we want to bring to your attention, what do I need to know to make sure that I am aware and that I'm operating inside of the guidelines? So, presumption of transaction brokerage in the state of Florida has been the case. That is still going to be the case. So you're still presumed a transaction broker in the state of Florida. Now, this is where I'm going to encourage you all. If you have questions about brokerage relationships and agency relationships, please speak to Bobby and the team. They have plenty of trainings. They have some things there that's going to help you, bring you up to speed. So Florida Statute 475.278 is not changing. So that's still in place. We are still presumed transaction brokers if we look a little further. In the past, it has been that the only time we needed to have something in writing was if we were going to be something other than transaction broker. So single agent, no brokerage relationship. So this is where now we are going to get to the things that are changing. And this is also where I want to point you all to one place that I need all of you all to be aware of. And it's NAR's website, facts.realtor, F-A-C-T-S, F-A-C-T-S.realtor. Has anyone been to the facts.realtor site in the past week? Okay, I'm going to show you all why this is so important. Facts. Well, first of all, this is the email that came from Florida Realtors that came out talking about the practice changes and when they take effect. This was published yesterday, and this is why we keep our eyes open, ladies and gentlemen, and our mouths shut, so that until we know what the rules are, until we know that the settlement changes are effective, and they still have some approvals that are waiting, but it's telling us right here what's going to happen. It's also going to give us a guideline, and this is where we're going to talk about today, but really how we're going to bolster our business according to these new guidelines here. So this is from the Florida Realtor side of things that we got today. And if you go to NAR, Florida Realtors, I would be careful and cautious about just Googling, but if you go into Florida Realtor site or NAR site and type in settlement, you will be able to get a lot of the information. But this is the site, this is the long site, but if you go to facts, FACTS.realtor, it's going to bring you to this page here, and it's going to give you as a real estate professional the information that you need to know. Now, this settlement agreement, Bobby and I were having a conversation. It's 108 pages. We're not expecting you all to look at that. Don't worry. These policy changes for the MLS, I'm going to encourage all of us here who are serious about being skilled agents to go to facts.realtor, come in and look at these policy changes. But at the bare minimum, NAR has put together a fact sheet PDF. It's only a couple of pages long, 4 pages long, and this is where it's going to highlight all of the changes that are coming that's rolling out. I do want to make you all aware that the date is no longer July of 2024. It's now what? Saturday, August 17th. And so the reason why Bobby has us here today is so that we can be prepared in the months to come, so that we're already positioned as skilled agents. So I would encourage you all to come in, take a look at this fact sheet. And for my friends who, my Spanish speaking friends, understand that they have also put the sheet in Spanish as well. And then there is a toolkit here that's going to be updated probably in the next couple of weeks as changes come about. Okay, now.
Thanks, Bill. I didn't even know that. Sorry, I just wanted to say I did not know that.
No.
Things changing every day.
And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. That's why I don't need you all to wait for me or to wait for Bobby or to wait for NAR to come through or Florida Realtors to send an email. Facts.realtor. We are seeing here. This was updated on May 3rd. This was updated on May 5th. So as developments happen, they are putting all of the information here. So this is where, once we know where to get the information, we keep our eyes open, we can now come in and start getting some questions answered that we might have, but more importantly, questions that our customers, clients, or prospects have. And this is what's going to help us thrive, because we're going to position ourselves as experts. You know, Joe mentioned earlier that we're always focused on being really good agents, but then we also have to be good at marketers. Now we have to be great at what? Communicating information about the challenges at hand. What does it mean? We're going to talk about how we communicate our value. So facts.realtor, I'm going to encourage you all, bookmark this page, and I encourage you at least beginning of the week, end of the week, just come in and check, and all you're really checking for after today is to see when the updates were done. If you come in and you start seeing that updates happen in the week, dive in, see what those updates were or are. That's going to make a very big difference. So really quickly, here's where we're going to talk about what is changing. So the biggest change that is happening is that you, as a buyer agent, you are required now, if you look at this last bullet point here, requires participants working with the buyer to enter into a written agreement with the buyer prior to touring a property. What? Yes. So what I'm saying, what NAR, what this settlement says, that now, even though Florida statute 475.278 says we are presumed to be transaction brokers, that is correct. Now we still have to have it in writing, a written agreement before we tour a property. Now this is where Florida statute 475.278 in the past has said what? At first meeting or prior to showing any properties if we were doing something besides transaction broker. Now, even as transaction brokers, ladies and gentlemen, we have to make sure we are getting things in writing. So what does this mean to you? First, this means that we have to start putting systems in place today. Okay, so we're going to talk about some practical things, but first I want you all to know the way that we did business yesterday is gone and done. You can complain, you can have feelings, emotions about it. It's not going to help. Okay, so it doesn't matter any of that. We have to start putting systems in place today. I want you all to go ahead and, as we're looking at the rest of our time, think, where are the opportunities in here? So we know that we have to have something in writing with buyers. And so I don't want to show of hands, but how many of us are currently using exclusive buyer brokerage agreements, right? Or not? We've heard about them. Well, in Florida, it hasn't been normal. It's always been available, but it hasn't been the norm, as we're going to say. But in other states, buyer brokerage was the norm. So it's not new to them. It might be new to us. So I'm going to show you all some options just really quickly. I'm just going to show you all some options, what we can do, how we can get some of these agreements in place when it comes to writing. So here's the first thing. If you are not comfortable, if you've never gotten exclusive buyer brokerage agreement signed with a buyer, you have to go in and know what the form says. First and foremost, it's just like our contracts. We have to know our tools. How many pages is the as-is contract right now? It's 13 pages. Why? Because we had to add that affidavit about the buyer not being from one of those restricted countries or the regime of Maduro, right? It was 12 pages forever. But now these little changes, they're going to impact our ability to be seen as an expert by the marketplace and those that we want to serve. So I'm going to share some now. I'm going to encourage you all, go into Form Simplicity. It's going to be one of the easiest places where Florida Realtors is just really updating the forms quickly. And so go into Form Simplicity. If you're a member of Florida Realtors, you have access to it. Just get familiar with the forms, know what they say, and how you can leverage them so that you really can thrive in these chaotic times. So a few of them that I'm going to share with you. The very first one is going to be our before we even go there, on the listing side. So this, let's quickly, because I know this is about buyers, but this is the listing agreement or marketing agreement, the new agreement that Florida Realtors has put in, and it was revised March of this year. So only 2 months ago. The big difference with the new marketing or listing agreement is that now the compensation piece is the same. However, they broke out this cooperation with compensation to other brokers. So my listing agents, my marketing agents, even though the offer of compensation is not going to be in the MLS, if there is going to be an offer of compensation, we must clearly make it known to the seller how much the compensation is going to be to the cooperating agent, or what we would call to the buyer side of the transaction. Okay, so this is very important for us as listing or marketing or sellers agents. Know that the listing agreement, the marketing agreement has changed. Get in there, know what it says, know that you can still offer compensation, but now you must clearly, they broke it up into two places now. There's total compensation and there is compensation that's going to be offered to the other side. We no longer can say one compensation and at the listing broker's discretion to share that. Okay, so now let's transition back to the buyer side. We must have, starting Saturday, August 17th, we must have written agreements in place. But Neil, Florida Statute 475 says that I am a transaction broker unless something else is signed. You're right. So if you are used to working as a transaction broker, we are going to use the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement that is for transaction brokers. This is where I want you all to go into Form Simplicity. There are about 5 different type of EBBAs. Okay, 5 or 6, well, about 4 or 5 actually different EBBAs. The key, this form has not changed, and I want you all to see, this has not been updated yet since November of 2016. I've been using it since 2007 when I got into the industry. So this form hasn't changed much. Let me go ahead and tell you all, we expect to see some changes on the EBBA rather quickly. Okay, so this is where when you get that email from Florida Realtors that says we've had some updated forms, just like they did for March when it came to the listing agreement, go in, look at the information, don't just delete it. But what we care about with the EBBA and how we're going to leverage this, especially even if you are a transaction broker, here it talks about compensation. Okay, now we aren't getting into the specific numbers. What we are looking at is that we clearly have to communicate that the buyer is responsible for compensating us. Okay, we're also not going to talk about retainers, all that. That's another class, another day. Compensation, it is the buyer's responsibility to ensure that you as a buyer's agent are compensated. You get to decide, of course, with permission of your broker, what your compensation is, okay, and how that's going to be paid, when it's going to be take effect. So all of that is going to be up to you for us to get to know this exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. If we go down a little further, we will see that this brokerage relationship will act as a transaction broker. Very important. Transaction broker, EBBA. We're going to transition now to the EBBA. It looks almost the same, but this is going to be the one for a single agent with consent to transition. Everything looks the same here. We go down and it talks about single agent notice. It's going to talk about consent to transition to a transaction broker. Ladies and gentlemen, know your forms. These are the tools that as of Saturday, August 17th, you're going to have to use. Okay? And then finally, some of you are saying, well, what if my client, customer, prospect does not want to sign a transaction broker or a exclusive buyer, single agent, transition to consent to transition to transaction broker? There is a showing agreement. Now, I want to make it clear to you all that the showing agreement still has compensation here, and that it is the buyer's responsibility to compensate you. Now, if there are other compensation agreements in place where the listing broker is offering cooperation or cooperating agents compensation, it talks about all of that here as your responsibility to ask the listing agent, are you offering cooperating compensation? This is why that system is so important. You have to ask, are you offering cooperating compensation? This is where maybe, now we're going to get into some practical pieces. Maybe you have your showing request or your questionnaire email template saved that you're going to send to all of the listing agents. Now, let me be clear. We still cannot refuse to show a property because there's no compensation offered. Okay? Now it's our responsibility. It's one additional step for us as buyer specialists to ask the question of the listing specialist. Are you offering compensation? Okay, if they say yes, they say how much. As long as that is communicated in writing, it is enforceable. But it must be in writing. And so we have seen that text messages are enforceable, email is enforceable. Okay, so that's where we want to make sure that we are protecting ourselves. What else does this mean for us as real estate agents? first and foremost, this is going to be the biggest shift for us. You as a buyer specialist now must know your value more than you ever have in the past. Now, I know we hear that all the time. We say, well, I know my value. I know what I'm worth. But here's what I want you to answer for me. Why should I hire you? And, well, let me stop right there. In the past, we could say, well, you should hire me because I'm your cousin. You should hire me because I know this or because I'm going to represent you. Some of us, our value proposition was, you should hire me because the seller is going to pay my compensation. We cannot let that be our value proposition anymore. So here's the question that you must be able to answer today. Why should I hire you and pay you? Okay, so as a buyer agent, the switch has been, why should I hire you and be willing to pay you? If you cannot answer that, do, right? Do you have an answer if someone asks you, what do you do? As a buyer's agent, do you have a compelling answer to the question, what do you do? That's the very first question that you must answer if you want to be justly compensated. The next question is, what makes you credible? Do you have social proof? Do you have something that's going to make you credible as a buyer's agent? And so in that, I'm going to share some examples of credibility pieces, and I'm going to tell you all some ways to instantly increase your credibility right now, right? So what makes you credible? How many of you have been published on some platform in the past 3 months? Right? So if you have not been published on some platform in the past 3 months, after you build your system, after you answer the question, why should you hire me and pay me? I need you to do what I'm going to show you all right now. I need you all to have one focus and one focus only, and that is to get published in some type of publication. Okay? And here's what we're going to do. Super simple. So I know when I was speaking to Bobby was like, Neil, I want to have my agents walk away with some things that they can apply today. So talk about what makes you credible. We're going to look at an example right here. So what makes me credible as a realtor? What makes me credible as a speaker? It's this thing called social proof. It is that no matter where I go, no matter what I do, I have proof that this guy is good. Okay? And that comes from being published. So immediately, I know some of you are thinking, well, I am not, I don't know where to get this. So the first place I'm going to tell you all to go, it's going to be 3 different sites, same company. 3 different sites, same company. First place I want you all to go is to canvasrebel.com. canvasrebel.com. And I am even going to put the link in the chat for us so you all can just click on it. Make sure you just click on this, open it up even before you need it. Okay? So canvasrebel.com. Once you go to Canvas Rebel, you are going to come right over here to nominations. Canvas Rebel, nominations, and then you're just going to put your information right here. Name, email, website, social media. We have to promote ourselves. Joe talked about marketing. Some of you are fantastic marketers of property, but you're horrible marketers of yourself. Okay, so I need you to start marketing yourself so that you can be positioned as the expert. This is how we're going to make more money, because we're going to be able to tell our buyers what we do and what makes us credible. So I want you all. So the first one is going to be Canvas Rebel. The second one is going to be Voyage MIA or Voyage MIA. All depends on if you say tomato or tomato. So Voyage MIA, and we will see. Even once we're here at Voyage MIA, we're going to come over to this sandwich menu right over here, and we are going to submit a story idea. Do you all see? This is the exact same form. It is just to a different branch of the same company. But what people don't know, They don't know that Voyage, Shout Out, they don't know that Canvas, Rebel, that they are all owned by the same company. What it looks like is that you have now been published in 3 different publications. This is that practical piece, ladies and gentlemen, that I want us to start leveraging so that we really can boost our credibility. And then finally, we're going to go to Shout Out Miami, shoutoutmiami.com. And once we go to Shout Out Miami, all right, I just put that in the chat. We are going to come over here to nominations, shoutoutmiami.com, nominations. And once we click that, same form, ladies and gentlemen. So now we have no reason why in the next 3 months we shouldn't be published. You're going to say, well, Neil, why would they publish me? Why would they share my information? Because they're looking for entrepreneurs, professionals, and businesses. We are all 3 of those. We are professional entrepreneur businesses, right? So that's what we are. That's who we are. So we want to make sure that we are leveraging that piece right there. Okay, so the next piece that we want to, or the next question that we want to answer is after. What do you do? What makes you credible? How do you make your money? And it is not from the buying and selling of real estate or offering real estate services. What our clients really want to know is, how do you get paid? Right? In the past, it has been, hey, I'll take whatever this listing agent gives us. Now that cannot be our answer anymore. How do you get paid? This is where we go back and we practice our buyer consultation. I mean, I've done this presentation hundreds of times since the end of last year. But even this morning, I was up at 7 a.m. making sure that I practiced. Why? So that I would know how to navigate on the screen. So I would know where to go for facts.realtor. And so let me ask you, when was the last time you practiced your buyer consultation explaining to the buyer that they are responsible for compensating you? And if the listing broker offers compensation, it means there'll be a reduction in their responsibility. So that's the difference. If you do not, okay, so I think Memo and team, you all have a great question there in the chat for you all. So just take a look at that for me. Okay, and so that's where I ask, have you all practiced your buyer consultations? Because now we can't just skip over the compensation, that tough question. So what do you do? Good stuff. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Memo. And I know you said it's not the same thing, but it really is. So for those of us who have been in the industry for a while, we have talked about listing our buyers, right? And so we're going to talk about that here in a moment after we get to question number 4. So of the 5 questions, the 4th question is, are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? And so I know that we don't think that being known, liked, and trusted in our industry really matters, especially since we're all competitors. But now more than ever, ladies and gentlemen, your relationships, your reputation is going to make a huge difference in how well you are compensated. There is no longer going to be a unilateral offer of compensation. I'm not saying this is right, but me knowing agents and sitting and having conversations with brokers and leaders in the industry, there are going to be different responses to your question. Are you offering cooperating compensation based on your reputation and how well you are perceived in the industry? Right? Now, is that right? No, it is not. Is that going to happen? Yes, it is. Because here's what is not changing in the listing agreement or in Florida Statute 475278. It says we cooperate unless it's not in the best interest of the seller. And that best interest of the seller is left wide open. So it could just mean that he or she as a buyer's agent is unresponsive, that they're a jerk, they're difficult to deal with. That's why we have to know that we are known, liked, and trusted in our industry. And then this 5th question is a fantastic one, and this is where we want to start communicating on the front end with those prospective buyers is, what else can you bring to the table? If you all are not talking about your affiliate relationships with iTitle, Janet, right, then you all are not answering a key question that buyers are asking. They no longer need us to get into properties. They no longer need us to actually write offers on properties. What they do need is that relationship that we have, that information that we have, that access to professionals. So here's the 5 questions. What do you do? What makes you credible? How do you make your money, or how do you get paid? Are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? And then what else can you bring to the table? If you cannot skillfully answer those 5 questions, you might be one of those unskilled agents that are unemployed around August, September time. Okay. And then as we talk about that buyer consultation, have you open up Zoom like we are right now, or maybe you just open up your camera app on your phone, and have you recorded yourself doing your buyer consultation so that you could play it back, so that you can critique what your voice inflections are like. Do you move? Are you still? Do you not make eye contact? All of this stuff. Fantastic ideas for you all to consider. Now, here's where we're going to go into knowing your stuff. First, when we talk about thriving in chaotic times, we've heard Bobby just mentioned it, talking about listing your buyers, knowing your buyers. It's this idea of owning the client. Now, I use client loosely. It could be owning your customer if you're going to be a transaction broker. But I want you all to consider, do you own your customer? Now, you're going to say, well, Neil, how can we own anyone? Well, the first thing is we have to get face-to-face or make contact with our customers, clients, prospects early and often. We have to own that mind share of them so that when they think or hear about real estate, that you have to be the lady or gentleman that comes to their mind. How do we do this? Blog posts. If you all are not leveraging all of the resources when it comes to blog posts, doing video, whether it's going to be YouTube, social media, video is the one way to get people to know, like, and trust you faster than anything else in the marketplace. Now, I know you're going to say, I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way I sound. Here's my response to that. We don't care. If you want to be profitable, if you want to make money, you have to make sure that you're where people are, and where everyone is right here. So how can you get into their pockets, into their purses, into their homes, their hands at the chance, or every chance, every day? That's going to be leveraging video, social media, those types of things. Making sure that we're writing blog posts. And so I just want to share quickly some easy ways or ideas, examples of what some of this might look like, because I know it can be overwhelming. But blog post, something super easy. All we're doing, I don't care where you get the information from, right? NAR, Florida Realtors, whether it's going to be London Foster, there's a lot of information, and all you have to do, I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm just making my blog posts also include my videos. When it comes to videos, ladies and gentlemen, do you have a buyer-centric playlist of videos on your YouTube channel? Now, I know this can be a lot, so I'm going to ask you all to do this. What if you only went to facts.realtor and then you started looking at some of these FAQs or this fact sheet, and you sat in front of your camera and you just recorded as you read, here's what the settlement changes are. Here's how this is what it means to you as a home buyer. Might you be responsible for compensation? Yes, but that has always been the case, right? And so what if that was one of the things? For me, you could see how to prepare for house hunting, how to make your offer stand out. Everything that we do, anything that you repeat more than once, I encourage you to record it one time and have it there. Why? Because our goal is to be positioned as an expert to get some of that mind share, so that we really can own the buyer, own the client, own the customer. Next thing, note cards, items of value, Are you in front of your client, whether it is in written form with the old wet signatures? Are you in front of them with items of value, talking about market stats or some type of newsletter? Can be a digital newsletter. Absolutely. But these are the things right now that buyers are looking for. They are not looking to us for real estate properties or to find out how many sales or what our sales volume was. They don't need us for that. That's unimportant. What they do need is, am I going to have to pay for your services? How much does it cost now to actually close on a home? If you don't have those answers, then we are not being of service to them. So there are a couple of skills. We talked about this earlier. So I just want to touch on quickly a few skills that are going to make all of the difference for us as buyer agents in these chaotic times. First, you have to have marketing skills. Joe mentioned it earlier. I don't doubt that we are really good real estate agents, but how good are you at marketing properties? Yes, but as buyer agents, how good are you at marketing yourself? Can you make that first sale when we answer those 5 questions and have someone say, I want to work with her? She is the real deal. Or I would be at a loss if I didn't hire him as my buyer specialist. So we want to make sure that we are focusing on increasing our marketing skills. The next piece, and it is vital, this is a skill that is the highest paid skill in all of the world. It is the skill of communication. It doesn't matter how much you know if you cannot effectively communicate to those that you want to communicate. So the skill of communication talks about, do you know your stuff? Do you have market knowledge? Do you know what's happening with the settlement? Can you clearly and effectively communicate how you're going to be compensated? When we talk about communication skills, do you need to read a book, watch videos? Do you need to practice your in-person communication skills or your phone etiquette? Maybe it's going to be on video. Maybe you need to take a Toastmasters course, and so that now you are practicing in an odd area. Okay, so I have a question. What if we concentrate in writing in LinkedIn? Do we have to have a YouTube? So here's what I know. I know that Google is the most used search engine on the planet. Google owns YouTube. So so this is just me answering that question for someone who's been doing this for almost 20 years, okay? I know that if you have the most powerful search engine and then you use their platform for video, video connects with individuals better than anything else. If we did this right here and if there was no video, the engagement would go way down. So if you're going to use the world's largest search engine and their system for videos, it's going to shoot you to the top. Now, I'm not telling you how to, I'm just saying best practice that, and then I want you all to think, so on YouTube, you have a video library, okay? And so that's what I'm using YouTube for. You might use Vimeo. I just know that for me, having a public thing that I can have public, private, or unlisted, why do I do that? Because now we talk about that system, remember? So when I have my initial buyer consultation, they're going to get a video introducing myself to them. Hey, this is Neil. Thanks for considering hiring me as your real estate professional. At the bottom of this video, and so I'm going to go through all that. When we get a property under contract, I have another unlisted video on YouTube. What is it going to say? Congratulations, now my work really begins. I'm going to work with Janet from iTitle to make sure that things go smoothly. If you have any questions, right? Once we start showing property, so this is how we get in front of our customers, clients, and prospects. One time by recording a video, because how many times have we had to explain escrow? How many times have we had to explain the whole showing process or what it looks like when we go under contract? When we had to talk about inspections, home inspections and repairs, right? So if you have to say it more than once, I just believe in recording the videos. So I've done over a few thousand videos and I am just sending that out over and over. And remember, we talked about those systems. I want us to leverage those templates. Now, so when I have my initial buyer consultation, I know I'm going to add value, I'm going to talk about answering those 5 questions that they have. My video might say, hey, you don't know me from Adam Housecat, but here's what I bring to the table, right? So I just believe in doing that piece there. So really quickly, as we go even further, when we talk about these skills, marketing skills, market yourself, communication skills, learn how to effectively communicate with the other side. And the big piece of communication is active listening. And then the last one, which which definitely has become more valuable since the announcement of the settlement, that is going to be negotiation skills. How good are you at negotiating? If you cannot negotiate, ladies and gentlemen, you are not going to make it, because now you're going to have to negotiate with the other agent in the transaction, maybe with buyers, sellers, but now you also have to negotiate on them being willing to sign something or not. Okay? Do you know what a good negotiation is versus a bad negotiation? I encourage you all to take a couple of classes. The first one is going to be the ABR, the Accredited Buyer Representative. NAR is offering it for free. Now, I do want to make you all aware, the free version of the ABR is not going to count for CE hours, but you will get the designation, okay? The free ABR class, you're not going to get CE hours for it, but you are going to get the designation. So the ABR class, consider taking that one. When we talk about building these negotiation skills, the RENE course, Real Estate Negotiation Expert course. And I don't want you all to take the RENE for the designation or the certification. I want you to take the RENE so that you can know what a good negotiation is versus a bad one. If you can do that, then you will be skilled and ready. So our marketing skills, communication skills, and then our negotiation skills. Those are going to be the ones that those skilled agents who are going to thrive in this time. If we can work on negotiation, marketing, and communication, we're going to rise to the top. And then in my closing time here, I wanted to share a couple of additional resources with you all so that you can see them. I had a conversation with Bobby, and he asked me to put something together for you all. And so here's what we're looking at. I know that this has been fast and furious like Vin Diesel, okay? So right here, this is going to be a free mini buyer profitable business site, right? So I am going to share this with you all. And so I'm not selling you all anything, but I am going to encourage you, come take this free mini course. It's going to be self-paced. You could probably finish the whole thing in about 45 minutes. It's going to give you some actionable items for you to make sure that you're guided, that we're walking you through this entire process. It talks about Florida Statute 475278. Same thing that we did here with the EBBA, and then the showing agreements, and also the responsibilities that we're going to have going forward when it comes to the EBBA. And so I'm going to share that with you all here in the chat. So make sure you click on that, go check that out. That's going to be good stuff, quick, easy. The next piece for us as real estate professionals, because our time here is limited, and I know that we still have a lot of questions, is going to be here. It's what we call a scorecard. Some of you don't quite know where to start yet. You don't know where you stand. Are you good? Are you ready? Or are you not ready? So we know that Joe keeps talking about these top real estate professionals, And in your mind, you're like, hey, I think I'm there, I'm not really sure. Well, this scorecard right here is really going to help us, especially as buyer agents, as buyer specialists, saying, well, where do I sit? What do I need to focus on? Is it going to be my market knowledge? Is it going to be some other information that I need? Maybe it's with my negotiation or my communication skills. And if that is the case, then I want you all to make sure that you go to this link that I'm going to put in the chat right now, because that's going to help you determine if you are a top professional, and if not, what are going to be some of those steps to get you there? And then finally, our goal is to educate. Okay, our goal is to educate our clients, customers, prospects, because we want to educate with some sense of entertainment. Okay, so how do we do that? We mentioned the blog posts, the social media, the infographics. We have to do one thing: position ourselves as experts. Experts are always going to be in demand. If you are not an expert, you are expendable. Okay, so how do we position ourselves as experts? One, we have to get published somehow, some way. With the number of us that are on here, maybe 5 or 6 of us will actually do the steps by going to Voyage, Canvas, Rebel, and Shout Out Miami. Right? And it's free. It's easy. You don't even have to speak to anyone. It's just a form-filled interview once they send that to you, right? And we have to be consistent in doing that. So I want you all to remember, August 17th is an important date. Facts.Realtor is important for you all to go in. I encourage you to go in at the beginning of the week, meaning Monday, and at the end of the week, meaning Friday, and look for any of those updates or those amendments. Remember that the sky is not falling. There really are only 5 questions that we as professionals must answer for our clients, customers, or prospects. If we can clearly answer those 5 and then demonstrate our value to the marketplace, we're going to win. I have been working with buyers and doing the buyer consultations and the EBBAs since 2006. And so I know that while it might be new and different, if we do this, we really can position ourselves to win even in chaotic times. So keep your eyes open. Let's keep our mouths shut for a little bit until we get the information, the credible, accurate information. And as Memo and Bobby have both said today, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Okay, so you don't expect to have all of the answers this week or next week. With August 17th being the date, we are fully expecting changes all the way up until the 17th. And so as Bobby and the team, as they're rolling out this information, just know that be patient with them, but then also be excited, as Memo said, these exciting times and with these opportunities that are ahead of us. And so I want to thank you all for hanging out with us. I do believe that there were some suggestions and some questions in the chat talking about London Foster getting a YouTube class or something going, presentation next time, and then some other questions as well. But good stuff. So thank you so much, Bobby. Thank you for Memo for having me.
Thank you.